Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll start the presentation. And in the meantime, people are expected to join, some more people. Thank you. So, most of the people know about me. And if someone doesn't know about me, I'm Naresh Mandala. I'm working in Oman. I'm an engineer. This is my journey in health space from last 2 years. I got certified from D-Life, which is an organization based in India. So it is founded in 2014 on the background of reversal of diabetes basically, and then it is expanding now in different metabolic health space. So till now, I'm doing at my personal level with my friends, with my colleagues, and within the family. So this is the first time I'm reaching out on this online platform so that I can reach to as many people as possible, and I can help them from their conditions. So this is about D-Life in brief. It is spread across 6 continents in 21 countries. And I am the first one from Oman who got certified and started the practice, which is legally valid. And he's Mr. Anup Singh, the founder of the group and chairman. And he got awarded Icons of India award from the Outlook Group in 2021. And this is our core group. In fact, I'm not alone. We have a big core group working on different metabolic diseases, giving solutions and working with the clients. It's basically mostly from online. And also in our panel, we have a group of doctors as well who were giving the valuable advice from their experience, and as well as they're learning about nutrition, which is helping in their practice. So we have specialized people who are good at reversing obesity, fatty liver, diabetes, hypertension, even gut health, thyroid related, autoimmune disorders, and even neurological disorders to some extent. As I told you, we have 50 plus doctors in our panel, and these doctors recently we conducted a metabolic health conference as well, and these doctors are the speakers in that metabolic health conference. D-Life itself is a big brand, and this brand has collaboration with other brands like Artinki, which is low carb sweets and food items like snacks as well. And Diabexi, it's a low carb based atta and some other products they have. So we have tie up with them. And Thyrocare, it's a big chain of clinics where they test our body parameters, blood samples, and they have a big exhaustive report which will indicate our health, overall well-being. And we have also tie up with the Nucleic, which is Canada based, and it's a research organization which is I think they're researching on the microbiome, right? And also iThrive is it's a supplements based company, so we have tie up with them as well. And tallow.in, it's a cream it's a tallow actually, which is sourced from Jammu and Kashmir, which is a very pure tallow, and this is used for skin diseases. So we have tie up with all these companies. So before we start the program, I will show some of the testimonials. And in fact, this is my personal achievement with my father. So he is diabetic, and he is having hemoglobin HbA1c 9%, which was in 2023. So I worked with him closely, and it took almost 1 year to reverse, or at least to reduce from 9% to near about 6%. It took almost 1 year for me. And this one I consider it as a big achievement, because a doctor could not do in last 15 years, and is keep on adding pills, whereas this nutrition program and this learning helped me to reverse or make his life, a quality life. And these are the other testimonials. Recently, there is one case with high triglycerides, reported with high triglycerides, almost 6.3 in millimoles. This is equivalent to 550 plus in mg per dl. So we are still working together, and this almost now it is half. In the last report is almost half, and the still working. We are working on it to further bring it down. And there is another testimonial regarding postprandial glucose. She was having 263 at the initial at the starting of the program, and later by following the low carb advice and some changes in the food habits, now it is 147, or the latest, right? And then this is another testimonial from one of my close friend as well. So he saw some improvements in his well-being by doing some changes, and this is related to thyroid. And this is another testimonial from uh, diabetic, and he was on medicines before, and as we improved, as we progressed, so he was out of the medicines, and now he's on only metformin. And another testimonial is related to gallbladder stones. Initially, it was diagnosed with 2 to 3 mm size, but later after following for 2 to 3 months of low carb lifestyle, it was seen almost no stones, and also the liver. It was fatty liver initially, and here we can see it's normal. This is another testimonial where we can see vitamin D. This person is having the lowest vitamin D I have ever seen, which is a single digit 9. And after my advice and follow up, he improved to 56 in a span of 4 months. I guess it is July, and here it's November. Yeah. So in the span of 4 months, he improved to a better level. And also vitamin B12, he improved from 228, which is low actually, to a moderate level, 434. And also he improved his thyroid parameters. He was using thyroid medicine. It was 3 point plus, and now it is 1.8 something. And this is another case, triglycerides. Almost it was the improvement is half. Also, we have on DLive, we have podcasts where we take up the cases of the clients, and we post their success journey. So this is one of such cases posted on YouTube as well. And this is another case which is actually fatty liver case. And in less than 2 months, he reversed his fatty liver, and he came up to his best shape in his life. And this is before his marriage. This is before his marriage, and this is during his marriage. And this is my business card. Uh, those who are interested, they can contact me later. So now let's learn about few science terms. It's like basics of this session. Like, what is metabolism? Metabolism is all about what we eat and what it is happening inside. So the food we intake, the food we eat is basically carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So what is happening to carbohydrates? It's breakdown to glucose, and proteins to amino acids, and fats to fatty acids. So the inside there will be some chemical reactions where the energy is converted from one form to another form, and this whole process is called metabolism, right? So uh, we should have a good metabolism for optimal health. So let's see let's see the other terms. What is metabolic health? So metabolic health is not just about weight loss. It also indicates how our body is utilizing carbohydrates and fats as fuel. Are we able to digest? Are we able to burn the carbohydrates, the energy from carbohydrates only, or are we able to burn the energy from the fats as well? So if we are able to do both, that means we are having a good metabolic health. Otherwise, there is something wrong. And also we have to note that healthy weight doesn't mean always, doesn't guarantee that we are having good metabolic health. So we have seen cases where people are in good health, good healthy weight, but they have poor metabolic health in terms of the parameters which will tell that they are having some issues. So also the very first thing one can feel is that about their waist circumference. Once it started protruding, once it is increasing, that means we are building up fat. That means we just started uh, the accumulation of fat. Also, some parameters like blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol levels, these all will tell in our medical reports that we are drifting from the normal range. So if you see the picture here, it's all start with obesity in most of the cases, and then cholesterol, lipid profile, all will go imbalance, and then blood sugar may start increase, and then hypertension. So these are all the symptoms. Then what is metabolic syndrome? So we saw metabolism, we saw metabolic health, and what is metabolic syndrome and what is its criteria. So metabolic syndrome is one we can say a person is having a metabolic syndrome based on these different conditions. If any of these three are met, are true, then we can say that person is having metabolic syndrome, and it must be addressed as early as possible. Otherwise, at a later stage, it will be too late. For example, fasting blood sugar, once it crosses above 100, that means it's an alarm. Or triglycerides above 150 mg per dl, it's an alarm. And HDL 40 for men and 50 for women. If it is below, then we should be alerted, right? And the very first thing, as I told before, waist circumference, 40 inches for men and 35 inches for women. So in brief, this is about metabolic syndrome. So it is associated with these all metabolic diseases, or we can say lifestyle diseases. These diseases are just because of our food choices, because of our lifestyle, uh, because of our food habits, right? So obesity, fatty liver, PCOS, erectile dysfunction, dementia, in some cases, cancer, kidney diseases, diabetes, heart diseases, etc. Insulin resistance tree. So what is insulin resistance tree? Here you can see all these metabolic syndromes are listed here as branches, as a branches. And what is driving here? Insulin resistance is the driver. We will see in detail what is insulin resistance, how it is developing in our body. We will dive in very short time. So now, for now, you have to understand what is the driver for all these metabolic issues. It is the insulin resistance. And who is feeding? Our lifestyle, our food habits are feeding to this insulin resistance. So our sedentary lifestyle, too much usage of refined carbohydrates, and stress, lack of sleep, then usage of seed oils. So these all are the uh, feeding, which are these all are the root causes and driving the insulin resistance. Okay, till now, I would like to hear from you how it is going on. Please use the chat box. Am I going fast or slow? Just please let me know. Okay, good. Someone replied good. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see how our body develops insulin resistance. So first, let's think about home food. So most of the people will eat home food as home food only, and very like 10% people they go out and they take some food like from parties sometimes. That's okay, but the point is, even by taking home food, most of the people are experiencing these lifestyle diseases. Why is it so? What is happening with home food, which is supposed to be the healthiest food? But so that means something is missing in the home food. So what is missing in that? Let's see. So our typical plate looks like this. Most of us, like nowadays, we got awareness and we are avoiding this. But if you can say in the past 10 years, 15 years, this was our plate most likely. So what are all these? These are all basically carbohydrates, correct? And these are tasty. So if you see the macronutrients, we have three types: carbs, proteins, and fats. So our plate is mostly of carbohydrates. So what will happen if we eat mostly carbohydrates? So as we saw in the beginning of the metabolism slide, the carbohydrates break down, the end product is glucose. So all these carbohydrates will break down into glucose, and this glucose is first enters into the our bloodstream. So we can measure the glucose in our bloodstream. We got instruments nowadays, we can measure at home. So this is how it happens. Let's see the mathematics of blood sugar. So what is happening in our routine? So the bloodstream, the sugar level in the bloodstream is maintained between 70 mg per dl to 140 mg per dl. So this will fluctuate based on our food. It is a healthy range between 80 to 100. 100 is actually the normal level. So, but it can fluctuate between these two. So here, if you see the mathematics, our human body on an average is having near about 5 liters of blood. So 70 mg per dl, if you equivalent to grams, it is 3.5 grams per 5 liter. So 70 mg per dl is equivalent to 3.5. And if you see the at upper range, it is 140 mg per dl is equivalent to 7 grams in our blood. So this is at lower range 3.5, and at a higher range it is 7 grams. Whereas the normal range, it is supposed to be 5 grams. So this is our requirement. This is a healthy level that one should maintain. But what is happening? Let's see. So this healthy 100 mg per dl is equivalent to, if you measure in a teaspoon, it is 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon is equivalent to 5 grams, right? Let's see, these are some examples of breakfast we used to take. In fact, I used to take cornflakes before every day. That was my breakfast, and with orange juice. And with that, I developed obesity. So what is wrong with this? What is wrong? Because each breakfast is equivalent to 35 to 40 grams of glucose. And what about lunch? What about snacks, dinner? So altogether, we are consuming more glucose than what is required to our body. So what is happening to all this glucose? What is happening? Let's see. For example, if you see the nutrition facts of some orange juice randomly, in 350 ml of orange juice, we have near about 33 grams of sugar. It can be natural sugar, but sugar is sugar. So this much amount of sugar we are taking with just 351 glass of orange juice. So imagine in every day how much we are exposed to the sugar. So our brain senses this inflow of sugar, glucose, and it sends signals to the pancreas, which is one of the endocrine glands, so to produce a key hormone called insulin. So this, what is the function of this insulin? The function of this insulin is to regulate the extra glucose in the body and to convert to produce to supply to the different body cells it through insulin receptors. So it's like a key. This key is open. This key will open this lock, and that sugar, that glucose in the body will be used by the cells for our daily course, right? So that is the function of the pancreas. So the insulin is the master. So we can say the insulin is the master. And to prevent glucotoxicity, what is glucotoxicity? Which is high amount of glucose in the blood. That is not good for our health. So to prevent glucotoxicity, insulin does its job and it opens the lock through the insulin receptors, and these are the cells who are the consumers of the glucose. So this is what happening in our body. But there is a limitation. Our cells cannot tolerate this high amount of glucose. There is a limitation. So what about the rest? What about rest of the glucose that is coming to our, that is flowing in the blood? So after cells, our body has mechanism to store the glucose in the form of glycogen in liver. And also liver has a capacity of 100 grams. So which is equivalent to 20 teaspoons. And then the biggest organ which consumes more sugar is the muscle. The muscle can take up to 400 grams, which is equivalent to 80 teaspoons. So that's why it is said that the muscle mass is the key for longevity. The more the muscle, the more we are at less risk. And muscle loss is also called as sarcopenia. So this is a type of word, technical word, where we lose muscle as we age, but we should focus on preserving the muscle through either by resistance training, weightlifting, strengthening exercises. So that's how we should maintain our muscle mass, which is very, very important, right? Some people, they do exercise, but what kind of exercise? Ask yourself. A light exercise like walking, is it helping you? You should know better. In my view, it may not help, right? Because it is taking the glucose, the glycogen, which is stored in the liver, is not used, or it is not utilized with light exercises. At least you should go with moderate exercises where we can deplete the glycogen stores and ready for the next inflow of glucose. If the liver is already full with glycogen, which is not used, so where the next batch of glucose will go into? So that means we are not allowing we are not allowing the glucose to be utilized as it should be, right? So we are dealing with what? We are dealing with a big tsunami of glucose. We are dealing with big tsunami of glucose. So to prevent glucotoxicity, our pancreas, to prevent glucotoxicity, insulin converts this excess glucose to fat. Let's see how the process goes on. So this is insulin, and it's these are the fat cells. So the insulin stores the glucose in the form of fat. And if you see this, we are very familiar with triglyceride term. So these three fatty acids join with glycerol. Tri means three. So these three fatty acids joining with glycerol form triglyceride, and this triglyceride is stored in the adipose tissues, which is our body fat. So triglyceride is a direct parameter. Once it is more than 150 mg per dl, that means we are accumulating fat, accumulating fat from the sugar, glucose. The source is the glucose, not the fat, not the food, not from the food, not from the fat present in the food. It is from the extra sugar, extra glucose from the carbohydrates that is accumulating in the form of triglyceride, right? So, and this triglyceride is packed in adipose tissues. And the sad part is there is no limitation. There is no limitation. Like cells have limitation, but adipose tissues are having a big amount of space, and it can even enlarge. So if you can see here, this is visceral fat, adipose tissues present inside, and this fat is around our organs, and this is very risk to our life. Fat around organs is a risk, a direct risk to our life. This is visceral fat. There is another fat called subcutaneous fat. This is outside layer. So that is comparatively, it is less riskier than visceral fat. So this is how we are producing bellies. So the amount of glucose, we are unable to regulate it. And this is how we are accumulating the fat. As I said, and it has no limit. I hope it's your understanding, right? Please use the chat box if you want to say something. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's recap what happened, what we discussed in the last 10 minutes or so. So pancreas is there. Pancreas job is to produce insulin, and insulin job is to convert the glucose to convert the glucose, supply the glucose to cells, and once the cells are full, then to the liver, and once the liver, then the muscles, and then finally it is stored in the form of fat. So up to here it is okay, nothing wrong, like you will not feel any symptoms of any kind of disease, or triglycerides are under limit, or insulin is under limit, and you can say this is a insulin sensitivity condition. You are still sensitive to the insulin, and you're responding to the insulin, and it is not out of control, we can say, okay, at this condition. But but if you continue the same, then the problem starts. So we generally don't fast, and we only feast. That's a big issue. And what happens over period of time down the line, as we age, our carbohydrate tolerance drops. That means what we are used to have, what we used to have at a younger age, is no longer suits in the present age. Why is it so? Because we are losing the carbohydrate tolerance, right? So because of this, what is happening? The carb load is keep on coming, and the insulin is doing overwork in order to keep the blood sugar in control under the limit, and this insulin will start shooting up. And the more the insulin we have in our body, and the more the storage of the fat happens, right? And we experienced all this. We all came from this, right? So this is called triple whammy. It's called triple whammy. And what is the consequence? This is the consequence. Now, let's think about till now we discussed about home food. Let's see that a person who is at home, and now he went outside, maybe for a job or from like higher education, uh, basically away from home for the first time, or at least for a good amount of time. So now he is exposed to outside food. Till now, at home, it's okay. Not bad, not good, but it's okay. And now he is exposed to outside food and all the food apps where the food is delivered at our doorsteps, and we don't know what kind of oils they use, and it's mostly a fast food. So in this case, what happens? Let's see. The pancreas, again, it's doing its job, but this time it is producing high amount of insulin. Earlier, the amount of insulin, if say for example 3 units or 4 units, now it is more than that. The requirement has increased, and it is now in fast track, uncontrollable. So what is happening? Pancreas is overloading, and the high amount of dose of insulin, and high dose of insulin is equivalent to high amount of storage of fats. So because cells are already full occupied, liver is also occupied, and we are not utilizing them. Muscles also affected with the fat, and they became resistant. They don't accept any more excess amount of glucose. So at this point of time, one can say that they are resistant to insulin, and this is called insulin resistance. Insulin resistance to liver, it's called fatty liver. Insulin resistance to muscles leads to type 2 diabetes. Our muscles no longer accept any amount of sugar, and this will directly affect our uh, sugar in the blood, and it starts shooting up, uncontrollable. So at this point of time, we will visit the doctor, and doctor will give medicines, and medicines will keep you under, not I cannot say under control, but somehow it will drag the issue. And once those medicines doesn't work, and they increase the dosage of the medicines, and that also doesn't help, they will increase the insulin injections. So this is what happens with this kind of lifestyle and food habits. So here, what is the root cause of the insulin resistance? Primarily due to the heavy carb load. I hope you will agree with me, right? It's due to heavy carb load. And if you see the difference between these two pictures, it's a clean liver with no accumulation of fat. And here it is accumulation of fat around the muscles. And here the fat cells, adipose tissues are clean. And whereas here it is uh, deposited with fats. And here we develop insulin resistance, right? So this condition is called metabolic trifecta. What is that? Triglycerides will be out of control, fatty liver, or maybe grade 1 or grade 2 or grade 3, whatever. The enzymes, liver enzymes like ALT, AST will be elevated, and high glucose will be out of control, and A1C starts shooting up. And this is a full blown condition of metabolic disorder. Metabolic, the person we can say is exposed to metabolic syndrome. So this is one analogy we can correlate with this situation scenario. So what is happening here? The excess, the people, there is the capacity of the train is limited, right? But the people are more. So what the pushers are doing, police, they are pushing the people to maximum extent, but there is a limitation. So they cannot do more beyond that. So we can correlate here with glucose. These are the people waiting at the glucose, extra glucose in the blood, and insulin doing its work in order to prevent glucotoxicity. The insulin is pushing this extra glucose into the cells, into the liver, into the muscles, and wherever there is a possibility. So what is happening here? Hyperglycemia. What is hyperglycemia? more sugar in the bloodstream, more amount of sugar. Sugar is increasing out of control. It's called hyperglycemia. And at the same time, insulin is also increasing in order initially in order to keep this in control. So this condition is called hyperinsulinemia. Hyperglycemia, hyperinsulinemia are the two terms describing this condition. So the insulin receptors also stop work. They don't respond anymore, and the amount of insulin will keep on increasing, and finally we are resistant to insulin. So what is hyperinsulinemia? If you think seriously, why insulin is increasing? Why is it so? It is actually part of the body mechanism to protect from glucotoxicity. Excess amount of glucose is dangerous to health. So in order to maintain the glucose, our body is uh, maintaining the glucose and at the cost of increasing of insulin. It's called hyperinsulinemia, right? This is our body mechanism to prevent from glucotoxicity, which is dangerous. So glucotoxicity is nothing but diabetes. So as I said, it is a protection mechanism to save our body. So it's called diabetes. So if you see, we measure diabetes in HbA1c. What is HbA1c? It is glycated hemoglobin. So here, this is a correlation in percentage and mg per dl. So below 5.6 is okay, but anything above 5.6 is considered as diabetes, and we are drifting from the normal range. If we don't act at that point of time, seriously, it will be out of our control. And the only thing, we should visit the hospitals more frequently. So here is the measurement of HbA1c, and why it is measured every 3 months. So we read in our school books that red blood cells carry hemoglobin and hemoglobin carry oxygen, and the life of red blood cell is 3 months. So that's why hemoglobin HbA1c is tested every 3 months. After 3 months, we can have a fresh look of how much this RBC is glycated with what level it is glycated. That means exposed to the glucose. So that's how it is measured. But will glucose test alone will help us to declare are we diabetic or non-diabetic? It's not. So glucose test alone will not help us. It's not an exact marker to decide, because at that point of time, already our insulin is way out of our control. So what is the correct marker to prevent this all? So the correct marker is to measure fasting insulin. Have you ever tested fasting insulin, or your doctor anytime recommended? Please let me know from chat box. No, someone is saying no. Yeah, mostly no, right? Because why they don't recommend? Any guess? There is no prescription to it, no medicines. Fasting insulin cannot be reduced by any kind of medication. They will ask you to come back once your HbA1c is above 6, and then they will give you medicines. That's what they do. So this is not recommended by any of your doctors. So, but nowadays the awareness has increased, and we are recommending, even some doctors are recommending this as well. So now some change has come. Okay, let's think about food. Come back to food. So when I say food, what is the first thing will come to your mind? food is equated to calories, right? Food is equated to calories. So everyone will say reduce calories, go low carb, low calorie food, not low carb, sorry, low calorie food. Doctors, dietitians, gym trainers, health influencers on social media, everyone buzzing low calorie, right? But what is happening if you eat less calorie food? We lose weight. As I agree, we lose weight, but to some extent. How long? Maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. What about that? Later, we decrease our metabolism because we are eating low calorie. We are nutrition deprived. We lack nutrition. We lack energy, and this increases the hunger. So we are facing a situation called malnutrition. If we eat properly, it is well nourished, but we reduce our calories and directly we reduce our nutrition, and this is again regaining the weight. Whatever we lost, we regain again, and this is a vicious circle. This is what happening, and it happened to me as well. I was hovering around 90 85, 90 85, but then finally now I cracked, and I'm maintaining it around 70. So this is what happening with most of the people, because the prime focus here is on calories, right? But healthy foods doesn't mean low calorie. We will see what's supposed to be. So our body doesn't have any sensors, calorie sensors. Our body, like computers understand binary language 0 and 1. Our body don't understand calories. Our body understands in terms of nutrition, in terms of nutrient sensors. It has nutrient sensors. And accordingly, our body will produce hormones, enzymes. It's all based on the nutrition. So the food contains nutrition, and this nutrition is information. That information will help, will send signals to our body accordingly for the bodily functions, right? So the food contains what? Nutrition, and it is measured in like how much protein, how much fats, how much carbs, how much saturated fat, how much vitamins, minerals, how much omega 3, omega 6, what is the ratio maintained to be maintained. This is all information, and based on this information, we work, our body works, functions, right? So what matters is nutrition, not calories. Nutrition dense foods have high nutrients, whereas calorie dense foods are high in calories. Okay, now our if you see the body physiology at the time of Stone Age, how it is and how we are now. What he is doing, if you see the picture, he is hunting food for his survival. For his survival, he hunt the food. First, he feast actually, and then till he gets the next feast, he fast. There is a good amount of time he feast and then he fast. And also imagine uh, the amount of work done in order to hunt. They used to climb, they used to run, whatnot, you can imagine. So the lifestyle of them and the lifestyle nowadays, it's completely different. And the main thing is food. Here food is for survival, whereas for us it is, the status has changed here. But the body physiology is the same then, that time and now. We evolved in terms of we evolved in other terms, like our brain has evolved, and our thoughts are evolved, but not the body physiology is almost more or less the same. So what has changed here? The fasting and feasting, and the status of food has changed. We use food for entertainment. We use food for entertainment, for parties, right? So this is the result because of the change in the status. We use social networking system. We use for emotional backup. If you're not feeling well, we order something. If we are happy, we order something. If you feel bored, we order something. If we watch some say IPL or something, we for entertainment, we order something. So food is abundant now, available round the clock, and this is actually not helping us in order to maintain our metabolic health. Do you agree? Yes. Yes, right. So we still have the same body physiology as I mentioned, but we we are pouring the space age fuel. We never give opportunity to burn the abundant fat stored in our body because we are flooded with food round the clock. So this condition is called metabolic flexibility. A person who can tap the energy from the fat is called metabolically flexible. Those who cannot tap this energy from the fat, they are metabolically inflexible. Who will decide that? Insulin resistance. Metabolic flexibility is reduced by insulin resistance. So it is the ability to switch from carbs to fats when the body insulin levels are minimum. So if you maintain the fasting insulin levels at optimum range, which we'll discuss in the next coming slides, so that condition we are flexible. So where we can manage our blood sugar, we can manage our fat content, fat percentage in the body to within the normal range. So this is called metabolic flexibility, right? So let's see the body composition, which we again learned in our science books. So our body comprises of 70% of water, some 15% of fat, protein, and then minerals. And basically, it comprises of organ systems, organs, tissues, cells. So what is cellular nutrition? The basic unit of body is cell, and the nutrition required for each cell is called cellular nutrition. So we focus on cellular nutrition. What is required for the cells? What is required for the well-being of the cells? That's called cellular nutrition, right? Again, let's come back to the home food, right? So we just touched fast food for some time and the consequences we have seen. Now let's come back to the home food. So what is missing in the home food? I hope you got some clarity by this time. Let's see further. So this is our home food. So what it is basically, it is 70% grain based, which is carbs, flour based, grain based. So the rest is protein, water, fats, minerals. So this is typically our plate looks like. So the very important point here is carbohydrates are non-essential. You must agree with me. Among the macronutrients, three macronutrients, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, the only non-essential macronutrient which is not required for our body from outside source is carbohydrates. Of course, it provides energy, but in the absence of carbohydrates, the body will use the fat reserves for energy. This is a very important point. You should note it down. The requirement of glucose, which is just only 5 grams, which we have seen at the initial slides, is met by the body itself. No need to provide from outside. So that's what it means. Whereas fats and proteins are essential for our well-being of membranes, hormones, enzymes, then muscle building required. It is must. It is essential. Whereas carbohydrates are not. So how our body can survive without external glucose? It is possible through a process called gluconeogenesis. What it is? It is generation of glucose from the fat cells. So fat cells, which are basically triglycerides, they undergo lipolysis. It's a breakdown of fat is called lipolysis. And the end product, let's not go in details. The end product is glucose. From fats, glucose can be generated. And at the same time, from muscles, also glycogen, there is a process called where we can produce glucose. But this is not the we should avoid this condition, because as I said, muscle is very, very important for our longevity. So we should only concentrate on tapping energy from the fats. Muscle, we should not break down the muscle, right? So this is how we can survive without carbs. Okay, now the awareness has increased to most of the people, and we are avoiding simple carbs nowadays. Fine, we are avoiding simple carbs, and we are shifting towards what? We are shifting towards complex carbs. Is it helpful? Ask yourself, what is complex carbs? It is the same. Carbs with another name, complex. What is complex? The emptying rate, gastric emptying rate is little, it will take more time, but finally it break down into glucose. The end product is glucose, which we are unable to manage. So the insulin requirement, the key point is the insulin requirement is the same in both the cases. Either you take simple carbs or you take complex carbs. Simple carbs are readily converted to energy, but complex carbs will take some time. But the insulin requirement is the same in both the cases, right? So a carbohydrate is actually into two types, two parts. One is the glucose directly, and fiber. So fiber is also part of the carbohydrate. So it is called non-glycemic and glycemic. So the non-glycemic part is 10%, right, which is used and which is required for our gut microbiome, which feeds on the fiber. And the more you take, the excess will be thrown out of the stool. To some extent, it's okay. We need and we take. That's not an issue. But what about the glycemic part? We, out of this 80%, we hardly use only 30% for our daily course. What about the rest? Still lying in the liver in the form of glycogen. We are not using it. So the excess, the little amount of glucose is used, but the rest is stored in the form of fat, like a fixed deposit in a bank. And we never go back and tap the energy from the fat, right? So the fiber is adding only a little value, but not completely. So either you switch to complex carbs, we cannot avoid the high amount of glucose. So if you see the millet story, which is complex carbohydrates, so-called good, believed to be good. Let's see. So if you see, these are the different millets, the glycemic index. You see the paddy, rice and wheat has the highest, and it has no fiber. So we all know that, and we are trying to avoid. We are switching to other things like quinoa, barnyard, foxtail, kodo. These are the things now under marketing, right? But what we have to see is the net carbs. What is the net carbs? Net carbs is equal to this minus this. So this is the net carb, which is again pure sugar. This is pure sugar injecting to inside our body. If you can see this, this will cause the more damage, and the least is barnyard, which is somehow okay. But whereas the rest, same story. We are flooded with excess amount of glucose. I'm not saying this is applicable to everyone. Those people who are metabolically okay, under all parameters under good control, triglycerides still under okay, HbA1c normal, so it's okay for them. But it's not advisable for for the whole population that millets are good and they will help in managing diabetes or whatever metabolic syndrome. So it is, in my point of view, it is a big no for already metabolic sick population, right? Then most Indians think they are taking good amount of protein. What are their protein sources? Like lentils, most of the time, beans, chickpeas. If you see closely, yes, it has protein, I agree. But how much is the carb at the same time? What is the protein to carb ratio? It's hardly less than 0.5. Here, people are advertising or influencing only by taking the name of protein. It has 10 grams protein, 20 grams protein, now lassi protein, uh, like many marketing techniques focusing only on protein. But how much is the carb? We have to look at that ratio as well. So these are, in my view, are not so great sources of protein, right? So at least we should have 1:1 carb protein ratio. That means if you choose any food with 20 grams of protein, it must be under 20 grams of carb as well. Then it is considered as a good source of protein. Okay. So complex carbs, the same story, ending up in glucose in the blood, right? So I hope you'll agree with me now. Let's see how insulin responds to each macronutrients. The first one is we already learned that carbohydrates will does the maximum damage, and that will spike the insulin requirement, and the protein has a moderate response to insulin, whereas fat has a minimum response to the insulin. So this is the response to each of the macronutrients. So we are insulin sensitive. When we say we are insulin sensitive, that means we are healthy. The moment we are declared resistant to insulin, that means we are going towards unhealthy direction. Like here, insulin is not so bad, by the way. Insulin has many functions. Insulin is required for brain, ears, heart, muscle, fat, liver, for reproductive organs, for bone, nerves. It's required. It's required. Insulin has many functions. It's not bad that it is causing hyperinsulinemia. It's a body protecting mechanism, whereas insulin as it is good. So we should maintain the insulin sensitivity at all time. That is what healthy well-being is called. Now, we discussed about glucose, and we discussed about insulin and excess amount of insulin, how why the body is developing insulin resistance. It's so fine. Up to now, it's fine. Then how to identify the problem? If we know the problem, then only we can address the issue. Like if we know the root cause, then only we can address or work towards the solution. So how to identify the problem? So what is the first thing to identify? The first parameter which will tell you is the fasting insulin, right? So fasting insulin is the single most important predictor of all kind of metabolic disorders, including type 2 diabetes. But unfortunately, we are not tested. If we are not tested, then we can consider that we missed the bus long back. If a person is diabetic now, that means it started 15 years back. The root started 15 years back or 10 years back. So it's already late to act now. Okay. It has a standard range, which is 2 to 25. But what is standard range? Standard range is calculated based on the 90% population who are already metabolically unhealthy. So obviously the range will be on the higher side, which is not actually the best range. The optimal range is should be below 6. If you maintain below 6, that means you are maintaining your metabolic health, right? As I said, have you missed your golden period? Because we are not tested for this usually. So we may think that the fasting levels of insulin, how it could be now. So whenever you get an opportunity, ask for this test, okay? And you can correlate uh, fasting insulin and fasting blood sugar, both to be tested at the same time. Then we can calculate another parameter called HOMA IR. What is HOMA IR? HOMA IR is the accurate assessment of insulin resistance. It's a formula for to measure insulin resistance. Once we measure fasting glucose and at the same sample, it should be from the same sample, not at different period. The glucose, fasting glucose and the fasting insulin. And if you calculate with this formula, and it is in mg per dl, this formula, and if it is millimoles, this formula. So we get HOMA IR. And what it says, more than 2.6 is called chronic insulin resistance. That means we are exposed to insulin resistance for a long period, for a longer time, which is chronic. Whereas if it is less than 1.5, we can say we are sensitive to insulin and we are under control. But moderate insulin resistance, it is between 1.5 to 2.6. This is how we measure insulin resistance from the reports, from the blood samples. Okay, now, why no one is discussing? Why no one is talking about it? Is it that no one knows? No, it's not the case. There are so many research, there are so many journals, medical journals discussing about this, but it's not discussed. As I told, fasting, insulin resistance has no medicine, right? So here we see, I put some snapshots, the insulin resistance and related uh, how insulin resistance is affecting our overall well-being. So the first thing, insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. So we can see that as the muscles stop responding, so we develop type 2 diabetes. So because because of the resistance to the muscles, it's a type 2 diabetes. Similarly, due to insulin resistance, we develop cardiovascular diseases, right? And then we develop PCOS. We develop non-alcoholic fatty liver with insulin resistance. Here there are two types actually. One is alcoholic fatty liver, which is direct abuse of using alcohol, and another one is non-alcoholic fatty liver. So what is non-alcoholic fatty liver? It is nowadays more prevalent in even children because they are exposed to high amount of fructose, which is in these ultra processed foods, sugary drinks, all these junk foods. So most of the ingredients, if you can see the ingredients, nutrition facts, you can see fructose corn syrup, which is a direct cause for non-alcoholic fatty liver. Also, a high amount of fructose in the fruits as well. So fruits are okay to some extent, but we should not take only fruits as a meal like some people does. So insulin resistance also causes non-alcoholic fatty liver. And insulin resistance causes endothelial dysfunction. What is endothelial dysfunction? It's related to hypertension. Endothelial, it's a layer which produces nitric oxide. And when this is damaged, we can observe the hypertension. So here there is a myth. Once we diagnose with hypertension, reduce salt. It's a myth. So what is the real root cause? Insulin resistance, not the salt. Right? So endothelial dysfunction and hypertension and insulin in chronic kidney disease. Also, high amount of insulin will damage the kidney. How? It affects the filtration rate, and it absorbs salt. It retentions salt from, and due to more retention of salt, our blood gets thickened, and also it is contributing to hypertension as well. So we know that salt is having hygroscopic in nature, so it will absorb all the moisture, and it will affect the kidney. And again, here there is another myth that eating protein causes kidney damage. But it's not the case. Protein will not damage the kidney, but the root cause is insulin resistance. Also, insulin resistance will aggregate aging. We age like at young age we feel like aged, right? Also, insulin resistance is a direct root cause for obesity as well, because it's the first thing we feel. So, insulin resistance is the root cause for many of these lifestyle diseases, as we have seen at the beginning, insulin resistance tree. So it is the driver. It is the driver for many lifestyle diseases that we commonly face nowadays. Okay, we discussed that why only measuring blood glucose will not help. So this is a good representation, the demerit of focusing only on blood glucose. So at 25 years of age, a person say having 90 mg per dl under control, at 35 still under control, at 45 under control again, with the same lifestyle, with the same food habits, I mean to say. Why it is under control? Let's see. Whereas here it's just above the limit, and at 50 years. Also, we have to note the point that carbohydrate tolerance will decrease as we age. So here he is almost diabetic, and here he is full-blown diabetic at the age of 55. Why it is under control up to here and why it is not at here? So what is the reason? The reason is, let's see. So what we see, normal blood sugar under control is only the tip of the iceberg, whereas the reality is something below. We cannot see that. So even at 25 years, 35 years, 40 years in the previous slide, we can see normal blood sugar, but whereas below, in the background, underneath, there is something building up. There is something there which we never know. What is that? We develop all these conditions. We develop obesity, we develop fatty liver, we develop PCOS, we develop low HDL, high triglycerides. These are all metabolic syndromes we are developing. This is the reality, what we don't see. We only see the tip of the iceberg, which is normal blood sugar. Here, the fasting insulin, what we cannot see is the fasting insulin, which is beyond the normal range, which is above 6, and HOMA above 5. This is what we cannot see, what we are not tested during the young age. So this is what we can say we miss the golden period, right? Whereas we are focusing only on the high blood sugar. So who is compensating? Who is maintaining the blood sugar at normal level, even with normal blood sugar, but the fasting insulin is increasing? At 25 years, 35 and 45, actually we should take action here itself at 35 years itself, even though the blood sugar is normal. But fortunately, if we got tested with fasting insulin and if it is above 6, and here in this case it is near to 10, we could have took action at this point of time itself. instead of waiting another 15 years and become diabetic. So this is what we are lagging in the current system of medical system. So this phase is called compensatory phase, where insulin is compensating the high amount of blood sugar, and here it is done. In pancreas has done its job, and it is now no more supporting, not responding anymore. And here you can see the downfall of insulin production. At this point of time, the blood sugar will go out of control because insulin is no more generating. And at here we depend on exogenous insulin from outside, injections in the form of injections. And this goes beyond the amount of insulin. Even in injections, the quantity will increase from 3 units, 4 units, 5 units, 10 units. Some people take 20 units. It will go on. Doctor will keep on increasing the dose, right? So this condition is called hyperinsulinemia, where the insulin is increasing trend, and here it is in decreasing trend. So this is insulin resistance. Okay, the main takeaway from this session is this picture. We are only focusing on small things. We are focusing that, are we eating whole grains, simple carbs or complex carbs? Are we eating low fat, high fat? Are we eating protein? Are we eating meat or exercise? Are we doing exercise? And are we taking salt or not? So we are only focusing here. We are only talking about this. No one is talking about the giant elephant sitting inside the room, and it is invisible. So this is called hyperinsulinemic syndrome. So this is what we are missing. So as a result, we develop central adiposity. These are the few effects of insulin resistance called acanthosis nigricans, where we can see dark patches on the skin, and we can see skin tags, also called acrocordons. It's also due to insulin resistance. And if you recap now, starting with carbs. So carbs are carbs, due to excess amount of carbs, we are producing insulin, and insulin cells produce resistance. And once resistance is there, we develop obesity and as well as diabetes. It's a coined word, diabesity, mix of obesity and diabetes. So we are exposed to this for a longer period of time, for example 15 years, 10 years. So our body develops inflammation. So we can not only know from the blood samples, but we can feel that, we can feel the pain, we can feel the numbness in some people, we can feel something is not right. Then we go to doctor, but this is too late at this point of time. So this is called inflammation, right? So inflammation has again many other names, like obesity, Alzheimer's, loss of memory, smoking, stress, in some cases cancer, infection. So inflammation, we know this word, right? So how we measure, again in the blood samples, the inflammation is also measured. It has some markers like HSCRP, ESR, homocysteine. These are some of the markers where it will tell that our body is under inflammation. So always target ESR below 10, HSCRP less than 1, and homocysteine less than 7. So also, along, as I said, these are also not commonly tested, right? And we never know the reason behind. In inflammation, again, we have two phases. One is acute inflammation, which is for short period, like cuts, some burns. We know that it's for short period. And chronic inflammation is for a longer period of time. We suffer from chronic inflammation most of the time, and it has all these kind of diseases. So chronic inflammation can damage your body, memory loss, cognitive decline, and cardiovascular risk can increase, abnormal growth of healthy cells, which sometimes it can be tumor, cancerous, we don't know. So also our digestive function may compromise, our gut microbiome will go unbalance, like we lose muscles and then we gain weight, then our we accelerate our skin aging, joint pains in some of the people, they cannot walk, even walking also will be difficult for them because of joint pains and loss of mobility, right? These are the chronic inflammation cases, examples. So diabetes, as I mentioned before, uh, we 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 should not miss our bus at our early age. The diabetes at 40 begins in your 20s. A heart attack at 50 begins in your 30s. So the blocks start developing because of your lifestyle at 30s. So that we face the consequence at 50. And the joint pain at 60 begins in your 40s. And the dementia at 70, at this age, people will generally go loss of memory. So it's because of brain is not, it's because of brain malfunction, right? That is also because of excess glucose they faced at the initial life. So the dementia at 70 begins in your 50s. So when we don't act here, we suffer here. When we don't act at 40s, we suffer at 60s. So it's a very good uh, saying that your health tomorrow is built by your choices today. Right? I hope you'll agree with me 100%. Yes? Yes, someone is saying yes. Right. Thank you. So we almost came to the end. So what is the solution way forward? What is the solution? Now we know what is the problem and we know how to identify the problem. So what is the solution forward? Eat less? No. Eat less is again the same concept. Low calories, eat low calories. Then again after 3 months, 4 months, you will again bounce back. Eat calories is not the eat less is not the solution. Yeah, we have to. What we should do? We have to eat carbs what is required, cut the carbs and maintain protein target, maintain good fat. All the three macronutrients we have to maintain in balance. And moreover, we test ourselves frequently, at least once in a year. Okay. Okay, let's see. We'll do a small poll. I'll post the poll. Uh, Now, you may fall in any of this category. So some people may say, I don't know anything about my metabolic health. So I want a detailed evaluation. Some people can say, I know all my problems. I can correlate with what all being discussed here, but they need a small push. They need a hand holding and guidance. And some people say they know, I know my problems. I can correlate all what is being discussed here. Can I get something like a self-learning program? Like they want to learn by themselves. Yes, it is possible, like what I did, right? And okay, some people can say right now I'm perfectly healthy, all my parameters are okay. I'm not looking any of the above currently. So uh, people can fall in any of these conditions. I will put a poll. It will be on appearing on your screen, and just Okay. The poll is on your screen. Just select. Good. Someone answered, I don't know anything. Someone answered. Right. Okay. 100% all people answered. Okay. I will post the results. Here we go. So these are the results. Fine. Okay. Okay. Those who are interested in self-learning program, they can contact me after this, and I can guide you how to learn by yourself, and you can also improve your own metabolic health and also your families, your friends, and you can be a uh, role model, right? So this is what we have, low carb nutrition and metabolic health diploma. So it is offered by D Life, and right now we have 324 enrollments. So just for details, you can contact me after this. For those who need personal hand holding and those who don't know anything and they want a detailed evaluation, and those who need a hand holding guidance, also they can contact me. We can discuss about your history. We can discuss about your medical blood reports, and we can do analysis, and then we can have a mutual agreement about your improvement. So this is what I would like to explain to all of you, and I would like to say thank you to everyone who listened to this with a lot of patience. As we discussed that it's a 1.5 hour, and I finished in 1.5 hour. So now we'll open for question and answers if you have any. I will unmute. Okay, I allowed to unmute yourself. If anyone want to say something, they can unmute and they can talk freely.
Hi, Naresh.
Yes,
I'm audible. I'm Hari with you.
yes, audible.
Good evening, and thanks for your time, and appreciated your effort. And it is very beneficial to many of us. And thank you once again. My question is, post the meeting, you
Yeah.
told to contact us. Normally, what kind of support you provide? Like just to in a group, it will be useful for many, so you can avoid some repeated questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of like you said that you will provide some personal this one.
Yes, it's a like personal guidance. We we evaluate your blood analysis, and then we identify the deficiencies in your report, and we study your current food habits, and then we develop what is required. We develop a program what is required for your improvement, and this will be like it can be 3 months journey, it can be 6 months journey, and for some cases it can be even 1 year as well. So it's all depends on the analysis, and it is paid services.
Okay, it is a paid service.
Yeah.
And any products that one should buy from this for this, or it is a just normal market available?
It is 90% only advice.
Okay,
uh,
90% advice.
identifying the gaps in your current lifestyle, identifying the missing things what you don't know, and also mostly it will be it's like an educating yourself, that and self-sustaining. Once we finish 3 months, most of my clients, they are self-sustained, they can do by themselves, because it's not only a diet sheet, it's not only a diet program, it's also an educational program, where you will be provided all the guidance, evidences, scientific literature. So it's a whole package.
All right, that's good. Thank you, Naresh. It's well noted.
May I know your location? I think we have not met.
I live in Oman. My friend has recommended you from UK. So
Okay.
yeah, so I joined this one. I was with different perspective before attending the meeting. I
Okay.
was assuming that there will be a product that I can get through. There will be a diet chart and there will be a recommendation. So now it's clear now. I know what I can expect from this meeting is very clear now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Anyone else want to speak?
Yeah, it's very informative and it is very eye-opening presentation. A lot of insights, and from now onwards, we'll definitely look into this aspect and we'll be develop awareness on this low carb diet and whatever suggested by you. Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah. Yeah. And this one I would like to do very frequently, at least monthly once, um, because the message has to reach many people who actually doesn't know that it can be reversed. Diabetes can be reversed, like what I did to my father, it can be done to so many others who are in need. So those who attended this one, please spread this word, and in the coming months as well, we will organize many more such programs. And there is a WhatsApp group. Maybe if you can join, I will share the link. Mm, Yeah, I posted on the meeting on the chat box. So you can just click on the link and you can join this WhatsApp group for general advice. Okay, if no other questions, we will end up the session. And the recording will be there for this session. I will post the recording as well. You can share the recording accordingly.
Uh, Sorry to interrupt again. Mr. Naresh, this presentation, what you share now, if it is not confidential, you can share. Otherwise, we will check through the videos.
Yeah, I will post the video. I will send you the video.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll send the recording, not the video. I'll send the recording. Okay, then. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice weekend, and let's meet again tomorrow. Sorry, some other day. Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.